Thank you very much, Jamie. Hi, guys. Name's James Doyle. I'm a firefighter in Sacramento, California. I'm also a co-founder of Evals, and I'll let Ryan introduce himself as well.
My name is Ryan Cole. I am the Chief Business Development Officer with Evals. I've been working alongside with the Evals team pretty much since inception. And also I've been around the fire service my entire life, since a lot of my family members are involved or were involved at some point in time. So I'm going to turn this back over to James, and he's going to start it out, and then it'll transition over to myself, and then we'll, like Jamie said, we'll have a little bit of Q&A, open forum discussion.
Perfect. I'd also like to thank all of the members at large from the society that are joining us today and maybe listening after the live event. So I'm going to go into a little bit of the background of how Eval started and why we came into existence. About 5 or 6 years ago, we saw a need in the space, in the training environment space, to provide a tool that could leverage technology and help our students. In the past, we were using clipboards, and we were taking those scores from evaluations from the drill ground, taking those back, going into the office, and inputting that data into computers. It was very time consuming. The methods we were using were old school, traditional teaching methods. The whole teach in a classroom, basic book lecture, go out to the drill ground, show them the examples, crawl, walk, run, and try to, go about that way. The obstacles we were facing, and we found that it wasn't just native to Sacramento, it was all over the nation, was we're being met with new learners that were accustomed to technology, that expected technology, and we just weren't providing that. We were also being met with dwindling training budgets that were, forcing us to reduce the amount of instructors we had, and that was cutting into the actual instruction time because we were taking those papers and going in and putting that data, taking up a lot of man hours. So we realized there was a need to implement technology, and so we came up with the basis of what is Evals today. And we'll go into at depth. Ryan will be able to talk to a lot of the things that Evals does. I don't want to turn this into a product, demo and try and shove Evals at you guys. Hopefully we'll be able to get some things out of this, as opposed to just seeing what Evals is and maybe take some things back and implement your departments. But at the core of Evals is an ability to video someone doing a skill, grade them in real time, and allow them to see that skill after the event. What that does is it allows that person to see themselves do that skill afterwards, but really what's nice is to be able to see them see that skill before they even get to the drill ground. So seeing what success looks like allows them to kind of visualize themselves doing that skill. And by the time we get out to the drill ground for the very first time, it's not like they're brand new. It's not fresh material. They've kind of been through it. Like I said, they visualize themselves doing it. And so that time it takes for them to achieve, success at that skill is greatly reduced. It's also very consistent. So, things like instructor bias, whether it's intended or not, is very real. This allows us to be consistent with our grading practices. It's every time someone goes to do that skill, it's being videoed, and it can be, like I said, reviewed later by anyone. And that also provides us a great amount of transparency. So, the instructor cadre, the chief can be able to go in and see that we are grading people consistently and accurately. It also makes a record of performance. So there's been instances where OSHA's come in and asked for certain videos, and because it's up in the cloud, it's safe and secure there, they can go in, 2-3 years afterwards and look and see at that skill or any of the videos that are taken during the academy. And like I mentioned earlier, that new learner, they expect this technology. You know, we're getting to a point now where these young men and women in the fire service coming in, I mean, they've had tablets, you know, ever since they started grade school. So it's just expected at this point. You can go to the next slide, Ryan, please.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I kind of alluded to, a lot of the challenges that we're seeing in public safety, they're being seen in education at large. And a few years back, there was a big push for flipping the classroom, if you will. And I think, you know, most of the folks in this webinar are familiar with that methodology. And that's just, you know, really utilizing your time on the drill ground and in the classroom to the best of your abilities. And what we did at Evals is really take that method and really, you know, take it to the extreme with using technology. And so what we'll do with Evals is provide those videos of what success looks like to all our students before they even get out there. Like I said, they get to see themselves, visualize themselves. When they show up, there's a good indication of what needs to be done. And then it's really just honing in those skills on site. Go to the next slide for me. So a lot of our users are using our platform in conjunction with other platforms as well. A lot of these are, you know, Blackboard, Canvas, Moodle, all these ones. And they're great. They're usually utilized by traditional educational modalities, you know, your Econ 101, those kind of folks, and they're great for those. But when you need to learn a skill, you need that hands-on didactic portion, that's really where Evals shines. So the learning environment is filled with a lot of these different tools that we're using. And we did this for a period of years where we were trying to get video out to folks. We started out by just using an iPad, and we'd video them doing an iPad, and then we'd show them the video, but we saw that was pretty time consuming. So then we started putting them on thumb drives and started making Vimeo channels, and it was difficult to try and give them all of that. And then message them and give them information using the traditional LMS, and then schedule them in the same fashion. You know, a lot of people were using even Facebook to reach out to the students and give them information about when to show up. And we realized that it was just really cumbersome to try and coordinate all of these different tools. The field testing was being done either on like a piece of paper or like a real rudimentary tablet program. So we realized that there needed to be a way to harness all of these different tools in one-stop shop and really leverage all those together. And that's really where Evals came together.
So at this point in time, I just want to, go ahead, James.
No, I was just going to say, I was going to hand it off to Ryan to kind of go a little further on the actual pieces and components of Evals themselves.
So I also want to expand on that and just discuss some of the other off-the-shelf tools and use cases and things that departments or other organizations are utilizing within the training environment. It doesn't necessarily have to be Evals. It was just, with Evals, we try to bring everything together as best as possible, but you're never going to find that end-all, be-all tool as much as people want that within a department or organization. It's just not going to happen. Otherwise, that tool is going to be, they're going to be trying to be that pocket knife or that Swiss Army knife where they have a bunch of different things they're folding out, and not everything is going to be the best at that point in time. So I know from our experience, just as a company, we've had to utilize a lot of different tools as well. And I'll expand into that when we go further along the line in other slides. But the evals platform and a lot of these other tools have come out of the college learning environment. They've come out of the fire academy realm, paramedic academies, certification testing that revolves around IFSAC and ProBoard. Everybody's using a little bit of something different and some overlap. It just really depends. At this point in time, I just want to kind of open it up a little bit. If you guys want to share some of the tools that your departments are currently using, that would be really interesting. So if you just want to type into the chat box some things some of your departments are using, and we can expand upon those in further slides as well. So Dan Tasso just come in and said that they're using Target Solutions in Google, and that's very common. We see that a lot of departments are using Target Solutions for whether they're tracking training hours for jack hours or for recertifying. I know us personally as a business, we use Google as well, being able to use for emailing everybody as a whole. Use Google Drive. Todd Russell just chimed in, said that they're using Target Solutions as well. It seems to be a very common theme. Bill chimed in and said that they're using Target Solutions, Firehouse reporting, and then traditional instruction. So I think probably as the department gets bigger, a lot of these different tools, they start to overlap, and then a lot of people are using more than one tool. They're having issues with communication amongst themselves. I'm sure that's something you guys are experiencing. So Target Solutions and Google, they're not going to correlate or communicate. And we're finding that that's a big issue. So I know we're trying to tap into being able to use APIs and FTPs to get the data across to other platforms, or being able to export information via CSV files, Excel files, PDFs, and bring them into other platforms that are their main reporting platform. Tony just came in and said that they're using Target Solutions for classes. Then they're duplicating information in Firehouse and traditional classes. Very common theme. And then also when you're doing things in traditional classes, you have a lot of paper that you're going to burden the administrators or whoever it may be that is being tasked with taking this information and bringing it into whatever platform you're storing all this information on, whether it be Firehouse or Target Solutions or Google Drive. And I want to thank you guys for chiming in. It definitely helps. So, and I think it also helps the other people within this this webinar as well, being able to share our experiences and some of the issues everybody's butting up against. So right now, I just want to kind of discuss something unique that evals has created, but we've also started to realize some other people out there have developed their own systems. So I'm sure everybody is used to utilizing some sort of JPR or skill sheet within the training realm. So when you're out there on the drill ground or you're running EMS scenarios, you're utilizing these paper skill sheets or maybe some sort of digital form. Like I said, we ran into an organization, a certifying body in Illinois that created their own sort of unique JPR system. The problem with it, when they're talking about it and they saw our tool when I think it was the IFSAC conference, they were having issues with connectivity. So when you're out doing maybe some wildland drills or something where you may not have connectivity, that's where eval shines. And being able to do mobile evaluations. So being able to evaluate with an iPhone or whatever it may be, a smartphone, because most people have those these days, and being able to pull up reference material on the fly and show the student, recruit, whoever it may be, what the expectation looks like or what success looks like out there in the field is very helpful. And like James was referencing before, being able to provide the students or recruits or whoever it may be, maybe somebody that's promoting example videos of what success looks like, because those people are able to get those mental reps ahead of time so they come in more prepared. I know some organizations outside of the fire realm, because we deal a little bit with that, but mostly fire. They are using some HR reporting platforms to do performance appraisals. And that ties into JPR/skill sheets. We have been able to replicate some of those tools. So being able to do a daily eval on somebody or a monthly eval on a probationary firefighter. So going down that checklist and then compiling all that data into a exportable CSV file is streamlining that process for doing evaluations. Are there any questions? Just go ahead and type in the chat box, and I'll bring them to the forefront to everybody else on this call. So some other tools that we're noticing fire departments or certifying bodies have a need for is digital forms or digital workflow solutions. So I'm sure quite a few of you guys out there may be starting to implement an EPCR system or have or are looking at doing that. Some of our current clients are requesting to do vehicle checks or inventory checks from digital forms, and we started to build out that solution. There's other solutions out there. It's just that when you can host a lot of this data in one system, it makes it easier for people. And also we're trying to take a different approach and incorporate some of those video aspects that we were discussing for digital valuations into a vehicle check or inventory check. So you can take a photo or take a video and reference that at a later date. Also, some of the departments out there that we've talked to they're using Target Solutions or some other time tracking methodology to discuss or to work through those workflows. So also we're starting to work into the taskbook realm. So we've developed something very unique that individuals can use on the fly, and it mirrors that NWCG format where you can collect digital signatures and training and tracking codes and compile all this data into one simple system, rather than a probationary firefighter or somebody that's trying to promote carrying around a taskbook for a year or so and then try not to lose it, try not to damage it, and then also go back and collect those signatures very easily on the fly. So whether you're emailing for signature, much like a DocuSign, I know we use DocuSign in our organization, and I've also heard of other organizations using that as well, just for HR compliance purposes. So much like some of your traditional LMSs, we're able to duplicate or replicate some of these features. So a lot of these certifying bodies or fire departments are using computer-based testing to administer tests. Some of the current providers out there, like Pearson VUE, Jones & Bartlett, IFSTA, Fire Rescue One, they've started to create their own in-house LMSs to administer these, or piggyback on the back of Moodle or Canvas, whatever it may be. And people are using certification trackers to administer assignments. So being able to have somebody watch a video, complete a test in regards to that video, review a PDF, sign off on that PDF, things of that nature. I know the assignments and academics tools are streamlining the processes, much like some of the other things we've already referenced in regards to digital forms, workflows, digital evaluations. It's reducing that administrative burden. And like we discussed already, people were using Google to file share. So much like a Dropbox or Google Drive. Also, people are using Firehouse software, ImageTrend, SharePoint for a RMS tool. I know people run into the issue of utilizing on-site or off-site servers. So I'm sure some of your guys' organizations are using on-site servers that you can't access that information on the fly. It's a little harder to obtain information when you need it. And then being able to move to a cloud-based system is sort of a newer idea. I would say Target Solutions probably brought that to the forefront in the fire service. I believe Firehouse is purely on-site servers. And then Tony just chimed in and said they're having issues trying to get people to use Dropbox and Google Drive. And he finds both of those great places to store documents. And we find that as well. Obviously, you're going to run into adoption issues as well. Some people don't want to move over to utilizing technology. Some people are afraid of the security issues that may arise from it. But a lot of things, a lot of our information is already moved out into the cloud. And obviously we've, seen some of the data breaches, obviously from Equifax and things of that nature. All of our information is already out there. And for the most part, there's, within the training environment, you're not going to have, security issues per se, because you don't need to input a lot of data, personal data behind people's training records, maybe a first name, last name, email. And then, like I said, having access to all this information. So being able to access it on the fly before you're going into to train, maybe you're going in to train new recruits, accessing information from home or from afar has been very useful, so that you can prepare the night before or the morning rather than having to go into the firehouse or the administration office and access those on-site servers to obtain information, then go out and train. So I know we had a few different chats filter in, and I don't know if James, do you have anything to add to that?
No, maybe in regards to file sharing, what we implemented was kind of like a Spotify model where you can kind of do a soft download of things you need, so that when you go out into the field, you know for sure that you have those specific files you need available at your fingertips. That's really been helpful.
I saw that Mr. Duran wanted me to change him to the presenter. I don't know if you can elaborate on that within the chat box. Tony also came in and said that they're also using Google Forms. So same thing, like I discussed, we've had some of our current clients or contacts tell us that they're using Google Forms or maybe Forms Connect to do those vehicle checks, trying to streamline that process, trying to email a digital copy to the shop or the mechanic, whoever's taking care of issues on the rig, so that they get that stuff real time. And if it is a priority, they can triage that and take that engine out of service and fix it, whatever it may be. So speeding up the process of getting information to key people is big within trying to bring these different technologies together and bring it into the fire service. At this point in time, I'd just like to open up a little more to some Q&A, and we can expand upon what we already discussed, or have people discuss other platforms that they're using, issues that they're running into. If you just want to type into the chat box, that'd be the best way. And like I said, Mr. Duran, I'm not too sure if you'd like to expand upon what you're trying to share. So Tony came in and said, just making a point that making products more user-friendly, especially for those not comfortable with electronic data. I don't know, do you want to take that one, James?
Sure. I mean, again, I don't want to make this sound like a sales pitch here, but that was, very much at our thought process when making evals was, how do we make this accessible to even, the crustiest captain out there on the drill ground? How do we get them to put the clipboard down, or at the very least put an iPad in the clipboard, right, and start utilizing that? And so we needed to make it really intuitive and user-friendly, and I think we accomplished that. When we look out the drill ground, we see, again, even those crustiest captains out there, and they're using the iPad and they love it. It may take, a few reps to get them, into it, but once they realize the power that is inherent with the device and what it really does for the student on the back end, when they see that student can go back later and watch themselves, and they see that student the next day improve exponentially, they get it. They understand why we're doing this, the reason why we're doing it. And so I can't really speak too much about how to get that user-friendly aspect for other tools, and I'm sorry for that. But at least with our product, that's what we strive for.
I know what we've noticed is the younger generation or people that are more accustomed to technology, doesn't necessarily mean a younger person, but someone that's just more willing to utilize it, having them be the champion of it helps, and having them help the other people along the road. So sort of a train the trainer model, I guess, where they can go in and help those people that are not so adept to using technology. But you're still, like you said, we're still going to butt up against that adoption rate.
Yeah, I think you brought up a good point, Ryan. I think it isn't necessarily just an age thing. I mean, although our new learners do expect that technology, I mean, just all of us, percentage-wise, we all have, that supercomputer in our pocket, and I think we've all kind of become accustomed to utilizing technology as well.
Yeah. I mean, and everybody has so much information at their fingertips now with Google, Facebook, or YouTube. Everybody sort of has started to become an expert of everything, or so they think they are. Adam came in and said, are you seeing a disconnect with job quality with streamlining? Meaning, do firefighters see why or how the importance of what and why they are checking the box as opposed to writing the organization forms and processes?
I'll tackle that one. So, and this isn't meant to kind of take a hit at any other programs out there, but at our organization, we were utilizing check the box training platform, and I think there was a disconnect. I think the time for that was necessary. Again, with that that dwindling training budget, we were kind of forced to utilize checkbox training methodologies to just so the chief could say, hey, we got that training. And I think there's a push, there's a strive to really get back out in the field. And I think we can get the best of both worlds, get that streamlined effect while also getting that real world experience and training that we need.
So Brad Jackson just chimed in and said, will evals piggyback with other platforms, i.e. Jones and Bartlett or IFSAC electronic training materials? Thinking of tying initial training to continuing education without repeating the data entry. So we've continued to try to push the envelope in that aspect of tying into other platforms, trying to work with other agencies. And we just tied into the Praetorian Digital family, so working with Fire Rescue One and EMS One. I know they have a relationship with Jones and Bartlett, so that will start to tie into evals. In regards to the IFSAC electronic training materials, you may need to expand upon that. I know we've been working quite a bit with IFSAC and ProBoard. I believe, I'm not too sure if both agencies or just one, they've approved our platform, so it's being used in that certification realm. Are there any other questions or thoughts in regards to technology and training within the fire service, no matter how general they are or specific? Tony asked, will we be able to demo your product next week? So we will be at the ISFSI conference next week, and I think we'll be utilizing some different aspects of the evals tool within the hot classes, and then also within the overall event. All the attendees will have the ability to utilize the task book feature. So go around and mimic a scavenger hunt and collect signatures based on what was asked from the different tasks and subtasks.
I've got a question for the group. Is anyone out there now currently utilizing video to help instruct? And if so, like, how are you getting that video over to your folks?
So meanwhile, all of those answers filter in regards to video. Tony stated, doing a program on mentoring tied to formal education, this could be a great tool for that process. Well, thank you. Adam responded saying that not just training, but also with truck checks and etc. I'm a huge fan of quality over quantity. Have you all noticed the firefighters able to cheat the process because the box has been checked versus personal investment of time and energy into the firefighters' company officers?
I mean, I'll speak to that. I mean, I'm a paramedic as well, and for a lot of my CEs, I try and get most of my CEs in person, just because I value the classes and going and getting, education. But sometimes I have to rely on, checkbox methodologies to get my CEs as well. And it's easy. It is easy to just click next, not watch the video, take the test. Hey, if you missed something, go back and retake the test, right? So I think there's some of that, and I do value taking the time. And I think with our platform, at least, you're going to be videoed. You can be videoed. You don't have to be videoed, but I mean, you're going to get a real evaluation. And so I think you do invest a little more time and energy in really honing that skill. So hope that answered your question. You guys are using, Adam said you guys are using YouTube channel for using video. It's great. We started doing the same thing before evals with Vimeo channels. I think it's a really great way to show how to do a skill. If you guys haven't done it yet, another great way to do that is to update those videos. So let's say you have a recruit academy, and they're going to go learn how to throw a ladder. So you show them that this is how you do it. But I would implore you to update those videos throughout the academy so they get to see themselves, their peers doing those skills, and something happens, something clicks when you start seeing not just a video from a year or 2 years ago, but when they start seeing themselves and their peers do those videos. There's this almost like this spirit, the core camaraderie, healthy competition, where it says, hey, you know what? I want to be that example video, right? And there's just something magical happens, if you will, when you start doing that. So I would suggest maybe trying that.
Brad Jackson said he uses YouTube videos in traditional class, which totally helps, and it breaks up the monotony of maybe some PowerPoints. Richard Burke said we use target solutions on the bulletin board to show short videos, so that's great. Howard asked to accommodate statewide training, regional and academy, scheduling, instructors, housing, meals, etc. I don't know if that was, if you can expand on that. Was that asking if evals can do that, or is that what you guys are doing? Okay, he asked if evals can do that. So, yeah, we are accommodating statewide training, regional and academy, scheduling with our calendar tools. Nothing in regards to housing and meals. As of yet, I don't know if that would come down the line.
Are you guys using any other tools out there that you want to share with each other, and not just have it be the evals pitch? Anything that you guys are using that you want to share?
So Tony said that he's going to start using Google Forms and testing. Haven't tried it yet. So I know from my experience, just from a business aspect, as far as trying to incorporate new tools, it always helps to try to demo them as much as possible and see where you're going to run into any sort of roadblocks. So being able to look at it from different perspectives. So whether from the admin perspective or all the way down the line to the actual person filling it out, that helps a lot.
Yeah, even I was going to say, even before we were using evals for our evaluations, we were using a digital platform, very similar to Google, that allowed us to kind of digitally incorporate the scores. And it was just that. It was just scores, and it was helpful. It broke down the redundancy of taking that form and inputting it into the computer. The only problem we encountered with that is it didn't, the data wasn't collated. We weren't able to kind of search through the data. We weren't able to change scores or look at averages and see trends. So it's I think it's a strong tool to use over just paper. Definitely.
So Brad Jackson said he's currently using Canvas as a student and seemed to like it, and used evals in the past and for credential officer training, and like that as well. So thank you. I know you probably don't get to utilize all the tools within evals, depending on the class you're taking, but like I said, you'll may be able to take different aspects back to your department, whether it be utilizing Google Forms or utilizing Vimeo channels. Doesn't necessarily have to be evals.
Adam said he's using the company officer task book. Adam, are you using a digital form of task books, or are you using our task books, or maybe you could expand upon that a little bit? While we wait, another tool that we like to use, or we did use before evals, was iBooks. I mean, a lot of people have iPhones. iBooks is a great way to store training documents. You're out in the field, you need to show something, or look at a document. You can pull it right up on your iBooks, and it's a great way to access materials as well. And it looks like Adam got back to us. You guys developed and vetted through department, paper version. Completing requires formulating on the desktop. So it sounds like kind of a hybrid version where you're using paper and desktop to finish up the task book. Digital task books, I think, is a great way to do it. I mean, I've had numerous task books myself. It just seems inherent that my kid's going to get a hold of it. I'm going to spill some coffee on it. We've had guys outright leave them on the back of tailboards and drive away, and they end up getting their task book put in a Ziploc and frozen, right? Given back to them. So the digital task book, which direction we've gone in our own department as well, has been super helpful. And Ryan spoke to it earlier. Being able to send off for a signature via email is huge. And Gary asked recommendations for small rural volunteer fire departments with extreme budget constraints. Yeah, I mean, we don't like to think of our product as super expensive, but obviously not everyone's going to be able to afford any type of product, especially in the volunteer realm. I would say just start small, utilize your phones to help each other. especially if it's a small number of folks at a volley department, you can kind of get away with utilizing your own phones and saying, like, coaching each other, helping each other out, peer to peer, if you will. Hey, look what you hear.
I also think that being able to use, there are some, some forms tools. They're fairly basic, but it could be a start, to help streamline the process. If you're just trying to collect some basic information, then some of those are free. Also, setting up your own YouTube channels is free. I think, Google Drive gives you quite a bit of storage capacity that you can utilize too. Someone asks, is this only for Apple products? Currently, the app we have, which is purely for doing offline evaluations or offline forms, is iOS based, but the rest of the entire platform as a whole can be used through any browser that has connectivity. So much like these other technologies we've referenced, a lot of them are browser based.
So we're about 45 minutes in, and kind of went through our spiel, I guess, about evals. Is there any other questions from membership? And Ryan, do you have anything else?
I do not, unless other questions filter in. And we can post our email addresses or whatever if you guys want to share more information with us, or share it amongst yourselves, just to help the other members get the most out of technology.
Gary asked if we can get some more information or where to find information on evals. You can go to evals.com, and there's a handful of videos there, use case scenarios, examples of the product being utilized, departments and academies. And there's also a request form to reach out to the company and get back to you in a very timely manner. And Ryan just gave you his email as well. So unless there's any other questions, I hope this was helpful to the membership. I implore you guys to try and do your best to provide our fire service brothers and sisters with technology that they're growing to expect. If there's any other questions in the future, you can always reach us directly. Ryan gave you guys his email address. Mine is very similar. It's james@evals.net. And we'll try and help you out. We also have a ton of users throughout the nation that are more than happy to kind of speak to you directly about using our product. And if they're using our product, they've also kind of gone through the whole process of implementing more technology. So they'll probably be able to give you some information as well.
Yeah, no, I want to thank everybody for taking the time to join us, and I'm sure we'll see quite a few of you guys next week. Unfortunately, James won't be able to make it, but I'll be there. So,
also like to thank ISFSI and Jamie, if you're there. Thank you very much for having us.